What's up, everybody? Is this on? What's up, everybody? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, November 2nd, 2018. A Litecoin video for all my Litecoin lovers out there. Because I got some comments, people being like, on Twitter, Dan, why are you forgetting about Litecoin? Because I cover Bitcoin so much. If you're a replay viewer, I just want to get this out of the way. See the pinned comment below to go right to technical analysis. I'm just going to wait just a few minutes, get some people in here before we do technical analysis. But as you see on the screen, we're going to talk about the possibilities of getting a new at least a new lower high in this $60 area. And we're also going to talk about some downside accumulation. The cannon, I think I called it the canyon of accumulation zone on the charts. You'll see it. Perosi says, smash the like, y'all. I agree. If you're here right now, just if you could smash that like button. Tech Lords, thank you so much for being here. He says to increase the volume a little, so I shall do so. It might even be just I need to be a little bit closer to it. How's that? How's that? So what's up, everybody? Just Friday night hanging out. Just hanging out. And wanted to go over some Litecoin. I love the energy I have from standing when I'm doing these videos. So let's do it. I'm looking at this chart right now, and first off, as always, everybody's split. There are bears and the bulls, sentiment-wise. You know, there's a lot of bullish people that are accumulating Litecoin that think we're still going to go down. And that's cool. That's fine. So let's jump into the charts right now. Let's just start talking about it, because there's kind of a good amount to talk about. Which is, here is this longer term falling wedge that Litecoin is in right now. And there's some interesting things happening on the daily chart as well as the 4-hour charts. Namely, falling wedge versus inverse head and shoulders. Two potentially very bullish patterns. And right now, you can see, you know, nothing drastic, nothing crazy has happened in terms of gains. Nothing crazy has happened, but we've had 4 green days and counting. The question is, will that continue? I could totally see a red day, even a small red day, kind of a little bit of consolidation before we continue this little upward trend. But I'm thinking, based on my technical analysis on Bitcoin, which you might have seen a live stream earlier, me basically talking about, here's the Bitcoin chart on the daily, basically talking about us coming up here to the $7,100 to $6,900 area to test it. I'm leaning that way. So in terms of Litecoin, for similar gains of around 10%, that's going to bring us right around to $76. And I'll zoom in here a little bit. And this is a very broad picture right now in the daily chart. $76 or $56, I'm sorry. In terms of if it were to see a nice little run with Bitcoin testing that $6,900 to $7,100 area. So that's the first thing. Now let's just talk about Litecoin. Let's solely talk about Litecoin. So a couple things happening. And it really depends how you do your charting. And I'll tell you how I do my charting. So in terms of this inverse head and shoulders, I thought I had it charted out. Here it is, inverse head and shoulders. And this is on the 4-hour chart, which is, it's a little bit more clear to see. This is the 4-hour chart for Litecoin, and you can see we have this left shoulder wicking down to there. We have this head right to there. And then we have this possible right shoulder still, right? So we haven't fallen below the head, so it is still in play, and you can see it clearly on the 4-hour. So we've had this little bounce. We've had this little bounce off of this little bottom support area when we wicked down to like $47 the other day, and right now we're in a mini upward trend. So the question is, will that trend continue? And we have huge areas of resistance. We really do, and it's really here on the daily chart on Litecoin. It's this 50-day moving average. And sorry if the rain is kind of loud. It's kind of right outside my window. It's so loud. I don't know if you can hear that or not. So that 50-day moving average, which now, from our last time we talked about Litecoin, we were 10% away from that in the last Litecoin video when we did a technical analysis. Now we're like 7 to 8% away from that. We are right there to test that area again. And I really, truly think we're going to test that area soon. Dare I say even in the next week. We're going to test that 50 EMA. I truly believe we will. And this triangle that you see on the screen is probably my best pattern that I'm personally watching. I know I talk about the inverse head and shoulders. I talk about that more so in a longer term outlook, right? So if we start actually getting up to this area in the $60 range and we see an inverse head and shoulders, even if it's kind of something like this, we see that starting to form. I'm going to start talking about that a lot. We're going to really start talking about resistance in this level, but I just don't feel like we're there yet. So trying to give it some time for that. But in terms of, in the shorter term, we are looking at this general descending triangle, also because it's very synergistic with Bitcoin technical analysis. So one thing I want to talk about in terms of Litecoin is, and I'll talk about this before we get to the short-term target. Well, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the short-term target and then we'll go to that. Just because the other thing I want to cover is on the weekly chart. So basically on this falling wedge chart that we have here, and the falling wedge is based off of this. And I didn't really chart it properly. I would need to move this line up. It's basically it's the close of the daily candles. So we have a low, we have a lower low, and then we actually have a lower low, right? So if you're looking at the daily closes, that basically would cancel out the inverse head and shoulders, because you can't have a right shoulder being lower than the head, right? So in tracking the falling wedge on the daily chart with the candle closes, what is our target? It's pretty simple. Our target is Fibonacci, previous swing high, swing low, 618786 channel, and that's it. That's like our short-term target. So right there, right at like $58. Now, if we can manage to make it there, we're really going to start talking about this inverse head and shoulders, which is on the 4-hour. You see it right there. But time will tell if we get there. Our first area of resistance is going to be this 50 EMA, so we need to look at it. So now hopping over to the weekly chart, which is what I really want to talk about, is a break below this descending triangle on the daily chart. So do I hear popcorn? It's not popcorn, it's rain. So a break below, hold on everybody. Sorry about that. So a break below this area. Let's go over to the weekly zoomed out chart. I want to just kind of paint a really nice picture for you, because this is really essentially the conversation this is the conversation I'm more interested in having. Doing technical analysis on the daily chart and even the 4-hour chart, I think gives us a nice idea of momentum. It gives us a nice idea of where Litecoin can go in the shorter term, but I'm always more interested in the longer term. And that's why I always zoom out on the chart. So while I do think we're going to test $56, $58 in Litecoin based on the TA we just did, and I didn't spend a lot of time on it simply because, and where is it? Here it is. I really think we're going to test this upper end close to the upper trend line of this wedge. I just don't spend a lot of time on it because we've talked about it how many times already in the last few weeks. And so I think the most valuable thing we can do for ourselves is really zoom out on the chart. So let's do it. Let's go to the weekly chart. And I call this, I have it right here, the canyon of accumulation. Poseidon Lou, I see you, man. I see you with your super chat, $9.99. Thanks, dude. Oh, man. By the way, Poseidon Lou, I didn't realize you had a full back tattoo until I saw your picture. That thing is sick. But thank you so much for the super chat. I owe you a dinner. So come out here to the East Coast. So the canyon of accumulation. This is it, people. Like, you can't even ignore the opportunity. If you've been watching, not even my channel, but if you've just been watching these markets, you can't ignore the opportunity that is right here with us. Like, it puts a smile on my face because it's ridiculous. And it almost feels like we're cheating, because while there is risk, there's risk with any investments. If you look at the weekly charts, and if you look at the move of the weekly chart over the last however many years, you can see we are so well positioned to take off. And that's keeping in mind potential losses of 50%. So when I say that, here's what I'm talking about. This back here in this bear market, right? Everybody probably right here in this second descending triangle was probably hoping Litecoin was going to break out through the top, and we were going to turn around in the market and start seeing some gains. And Jim Flanagan, $10 super chat. Thank you, dude. Haven't talked to you in a while, Jim. I hope you're doing well out there. Finally got to the live stream. Woohoo. Thanks for making it, man. I know it's, what is it? I think you're on the West Coast, right? So it's like almost 5 o'clock. Ethan says no use case. I want to see if he's talking about Litecoin. Ethan, are you talking about Litecoin, man? Tell me if you're talking about Litecoin right now. Josh says, where's the police? I don't think we need to kick out Ethan. If he's saying so Ethan is saying there's no use case. So right now, I just want to call you out, Ethan, because I'm a perfect example of use case, and it's easy for me to talk about as a business owner that's been using Wells Fargo, and you see it on your screen, Wells Fargo. Have you ever used Wells Fargo, Ethan? Who do you bank with? Have you ever sent wires for any type of purchase or paying somebody? If you have, I'm sure you've experienced the insane, wire fee. So a wire fee for domestic is $30 each. And for incoming domestic is $15 each. So for me, if I'm doing invoices all the time, sending or receiving for my business, I'm able to invoice my clients for in cryptocurrency, in Litecoin. And the fact that I can invoice a client and they can pay me immediately within seconds for pennies, there's your use case right there. So Ethan's not here anymore, I don't think. However, this is, for me, this is the most powerful use case, and there's so many other ones. There are so many other ones. Look, here's a use case. You can now send and receive Litecoin on Facebook Messenger using LiteIM, and I really actually didn't cover this. But this was pretty cool news, especially because I have friends that I use, and John Moore's making some real good points. No chargebacks, no fraud, low fees, no bank holds. And John Moore, I know you're out there and you're also thinking, no annoying customer service that doesn't know what they're talking about to deal with. Like, that's huge. So I can't stand when people say there's no use case. At this point, you're way off. You're in la la land, and I don't know what you're doing. Tyler S did do a video on this. Seth Shepard says Tyler S did a video. He did, so go look up Tyler S on his using Lite.im for Facebook Messenger. But you can see we're happy to announce LiteIM officials now live on Facebook Messenger. Users now have direct access to easily and securely send, manage, and invest in Litecoin. We're happy to announce that LiteIM official. See, look at that. That's just awesome. And that was made by ZTX Republic. And go check it out. Go check out Tyler's video. He covered it. And Tech Lord says, anyone else want to try and say that Litecoin has no use case, right? Let me see here. Sorry about that. Thanks, Tech. Thanks for taking care of business, dude. I appreciate you, man. I don't take you for granted, trust me. So Zulu Republic doing work over there with Litecoin. But look at that. At the snap of the fingers, we can throw out a couple use cases for Litecoin. So back to our charts, because Ethan really got us distracted. The canyon of accumulation. If you're not aware, if you're not seeing on the screen right now the amount of opportunity, I think you might be dreaming, like Ethan was dreaming. John Red says, great tweet today. John Kim is the man. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat as well. We got to protect our own when haters are hating on some of our own. If you're out there, John Kim, go look him up. John Kim on Twitter, go give him a follow, give him some support. He had, I mean, from what I could see, his first like Twitter account that was created, somebody created, just hating on him. So go give him some support and encouragement. He's trying to do his thing, and he's a hustler. So anyway, let's get it. Many people thinking back here in Litecoin, December 2014. Very interesting too, the timing of where we were with this triangle, right? And where we are over here with this one, right? It's like exactly the same. November going into the apex of the triangle, right there. So I have to keep erasing these lines so my chart doesn't get messy. So going into the apex of this triangle back in the bear market, we broke it. We broke down. And if you want to see how drastically we broke down, you can see right here. 60 to 70% losses, right? However, you can see it right there. That led to the cannon of accumulation. It's something that I feel like if you have the risk tolerance, if you have the patience just to be ready for something like that, and I'm serious, meaning if from where we are now, we already saw some dramatic losses, right? So back here we saw dramatic losses too into that triangle. We saw 93% losses. Okay, so this time around, Poseidon Lou with 0.2 Litecoin, dude, that's enough. That's enough, bro. I'm gonna have to come over there and shut you down, man. Thanks for this. Thanks for the Litecoin super chat. So 90% losses into this triangle, boom. And then from this new all-time high, okay, just about 90% losses, right there. And then on top of the 90% losses back here, out of that triangle, 60% losses. So worst case scenario, I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, but it's foolish not to be prepared for it at the very least. Is this 60% losses now, a $20 Litecoin, right? That's kind of out of our range in terms of the $30 bottom that we have. $30 to $50 range is my heavy accumulation zone. But, you know, if we did get a heavy break out of our bottom where we are right now, we could see some serious looking capitulation type of deal happening to find our true bottom. And that's just something I think you should be wise to be prepared for in case it happens. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, but there is so much money to be made below $50, below a $50 Litecoin, and I just want to let you know that. So are we going there? I don't think we're going to go to $20. Can we easily trade within that range of 30 to 50? 100%, and you can see it here. So we can go back to this wedge, right, where we have this falling wedge that we just talked about, and we also have this inverse head and shoulders, and we have a couple things going on. Let's talk about the falling wedge. So the falling wedge, again, which is these daily closes and these lows, these lower lows, a breakout for that area on the downside, if we broke below the downside, brings us to our breakout target, our breakdown target, to around $35, which is the width or the height of the wedge. So, and on the upside, I should point out the target for that is $75. So if we get a confirmed inverse head and shoulders, right, and we break above the neckline, which is this line, it's also the upper trend line of the wedge, we have really two targets depending on what pattern you're really, looking at. We have the inverse head and shoulder target of around $78, and then we have this wedge target of around $75. So $75 to $80 is our breakout range if Litecoin does see a move up and we break key resistance. Key resistance being the upper trend line, and maybe even more importantly, this 50 EMA that you see right here. The 50 EMA we have not broken above since, I'm pretty sure it's May. We have not broken above the 50 EMA and stayed there for support since May. So if right now this little run up that we're getting leads us to break above the 50 EMA, break above the upper trend line, we have some nice targets. And also these targets play into the true formation of the bottom, right, for Litecoin, because we could potentially hit these targets and we can make a retracement back down. So, just chill out if we start, going crazy, and if Litecoin ever does make that run where we're just seeing massive gains, be sure not to FOMO. That's important because there are always dips, and you always want to be ready to accumulate in those dips so that you can just keep riding the wave, right? Accumulate. And that's it. Like that's the approach, and it's really not hard when you're using all these indicators and you're using Fibonacci, but most importantly, you're just using your patience. So that's our break in terms of Litecoin, and then you can see it in terms of Bitcoin. Same type of deal going on. We have the ultimate, target on the downside is and we cover this in TA, is this big, huge descending triangle right here. It's that target area is around $3,100. And you all know, same thing, $3,000 to $5,000, $5,500, anything under there, big accumulation area for me. That's that long term. If we are to fall into that new low for Bitcoin and Litecoin, that's that long term just accumulation channel. And I truly believe that would be the bottom. We're not there yet. We might never see those things. Tech Lords, I know, is a strong believer. You can see him in the chat. He's like, Dan. He's like, shut your trap. He's like, shut your mouth, dude. Tech Lords. I love every time I'm like, there is a possibility that we're breaking the triangle and we're going down. I purposely look at the screen because I'm like looking for Tech Lords. I'm like looking for him to be like, dude, it's not going to happen. And there he is, sure enough, Tech Lords. Not going to happen. But you know what? One thing I know about Tech Lords, if it does happen, he'll be ready. He'll be ready and accumulating. So it's just crazy just to look at it. I mean, if you zoom out on the chart, so my point being, let's wrap it all back around to the weekly chart, is if it does happen, right? Similar to what happened in the last bear market that really truly formed the bottom and we actually fall like 60%, right? And we're in the 20s. Do you understand the opportunity there? It's insane because we're still so early on. There's still so many people that doubt this space, and we have a technology, and I liken it to Apple. You see Apple in the chart. We're talking from right here. If you look at Apple charts, from right here back in 1993, still at the beginning of Apple's technology, right? Obviously, the early 80s is when it IPO'd. But, early 90s, Apple was Apple. There's still a lot of doubters in terms of the technology. So 1993 till now, 30,000% gains. 30,000% gains this new technology Apple saw, right? And so for Litecoin, could you imagine 30,000% gains? I'm going to chart it. I'm definitely going to chart it. Well, how could I not chart 30,000% gains? And I'm not talking like, in the next year or something. I'm such a long-term investor that I'm thinking like, investing for the rest of my life here. Like that's what I'm doing. But 30,000% gains from where we are. What is that? It's like a $15,000 Litecoin. So $15,000 Litecoin, it's like right here. Right? So it's like right here. And there it is. It's the upper end of the trend line in 2025. So there you go. You can quote me on it. Litecoin's going to $15,000 by 2025. Go spread the word. Go tweet about it. Go do YouTube videos that Crypto Capital Ventures said it's going to happen. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. So I'm just trying to lay out the possibilities, the things that I'm always trying to be aware of in terms of the long-term investment of Litecoin, because it's so easy to get distracted with these little gains, 2%, 5% down, and then you're like looking at the charts all the time. That's why I always need to bring it back to reality. and why we're here in terms of monetary, right? There's other reasons why we're here. There's other reasons why the space is so awesome. But this channel is there. And we've talked about it a lot, $50 to $30 channel. If we get there, I don't know. Time will tell. But you better know, you know what I'm doing. You better believe I will be accumulating. So we talked about it, right? Like, this isn't just magical, hopeful thinking. This is we're at the beginning of a technology. This is new currency that is affecting businesses already. That people that want to use this new currency, Litecoin, Bitcoin, and it's a huge threat to what you see on the screen, which is Wells Fargo, which is all these banks, these central banks. It's a huge threat because cryptocurrency, Litecoin, let's just focus on Litecoin. It's a Litecoin video. Banks can't create it. Banks can't create it, Litecoin. It's done. Banks can't destroy it. And my point is, they can't do to Litecoin what they do to money. Create it, destroy it, do whatever they want to do with it. They can't manipulate economies with Litecoin. So, and you see it all the time. They make attempts to manipulate economies, right? They make attempts to do this with, whether it be with interest rates, amongst other things, and they fail. And not only do they fail, but they make things worse. They make things worse for everybody. And that's why eventually economies will, they're going to implode. So somebody said I'm high. I'm definitely not high. I'm standing up and it's feeling good. I'll tell you that, Moel. So yeah, banks, they just don't have control of us. We can now transact without them, is my point. Like that's what is at hand right now. The amount of opportunity with just what I said is insane. So that's why when I look at the charts and a zoomed out chart, I'm just like, man, I'll put it this way. If I was doing a TA video right now and we were actually right here, right? Or even right here, I'd be saying the same thing, that long term, you're most likely going to have a good investment. You're most likely going to have a good investment. And we're talking at $200+, right? And we were doing, what am I talking about? We were doing videos here and we were saying, listen, we can go lower. Tech Lord was probably saying, no, it can't. But I was saying it can go lower. And even if it does, accumulating these dips is still a good idea, because long term, that's my approach. If you're a trader, then that's for a whole nother video. If you're a trader, then there are different opportunities, and that's when we start looking at charts like this, right? And most of the TA we do on this channel has been charts like this, a daily chart, a 4-hour chart, and the opportunities to trade in this market alone are insane. They're so good. It's crazy how good they are. Because although volatile, the amount of synergy and the amount of perfect beauty in the way that we get our resistance and our support areas touched and then bounced off of, it's been crazy. And you can just go back and watch videos that we've done anticipating certain things. So a perfect example will be if Litecoin does make a run to the top of this area, and if we do see resistance, it'll be just a great example of trading opportunity in this space, because it's there. But it's just more me, my personality. I'm not so much a trader as much as I am an accumulator, right? So I'm always accumulating Litecoin. So that's it. The weekly zoomed out chart on Litecoin is beautiful. And yes, $15,000 Litecoin, 2025. You heard it here first. That's my thoughts. But remember, banks can't create it. They can't destroy it. And we can transact with it. It's already happening. It's done. I can invoice clients. If I make a placement for a candidate, especially because I'm in the cryptocurrency space and, I work with blockchain and crypto startups, they're obviously way more inclined to be like, yeah, we'll pay you with Bitcoin, we'll pay you with Litecoin. That's the world we live in. And guess what? A bank, not a part of that transaction. Nope. Sorry, Wells Fargo, you're losing money already. And like this thing has just begun. It's just begun. Very, very exciting stuff. It puts some pep in my step, as you can see. I don't know if just hanging out with all of you on a Friday puts pep in my step. I don't know if I have a stand-up desk now. I don't know if it's because the market's just looking so prime for accumulation. I'm just excited. I don't know if it's because Sarah's out there Christmas decorating. I'm just excited. Vincent says, I wonder what Dan thinks about that range, 600 to 1700 next all-time high. Hey, I like it, man. I like that range. I'm curious. See, I would love to just sit down with a bunch of you and just like be around a big computer and just kind of play all day and just look at different scenarios, because it's just fun for me to do. And when you're staring at charts doing stuff like that, even though it's complete speculation, you really do learn a lot when you're just staring at, you start seeing, wow, like this thing moves very, like when you look at historical data to how it's moving, you're like, wow, this is actually, how did I not see this coming, right? And so let's look at that. What was that range? 600 to 7, from where we are now, 600 to 1700? Let's see. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to find where $1,700 is at the top of this trend line. It's always like my base point. So that is right here. 2020. What month was that? Well, let's call it January 2021. So 2 years. 2 years from now. And let's measure this now. I'm just curious. If anybody wants to leave now, you can, because I'm just I'm just sitting here charting what this comment just said from Vincent. So that all-time high to that all-time high was 1498. So that all-time high to that all-time high was around double that. So let's take it out to 1498. Even though I'm not saying I believe it would take that long to see a new all-time high, I truly actually don't believe it would. We might actually get it in half the time, but I'm just curious. 1498, so around 1500, it's like right there. Boom. So what can happen in this time frame? What will happen in this time frame? Will we get another all-time high in this time frame? And will it be 600 to 1700? Like Vincent says. So Poseidon Lou says, Jim Flanagan says, we're chilling, Dan. That's good to hear. Poseidon Lou says, expect the unexpected. I love it. I love it. I think much of the market would say this is unexpected, right? Like even if it was like right here, right? So 2021, summer of 2021, Litecoin's chilling at like a $1,700 to a $2,000 Litecoin. That would be unexpected for much of the market. Being we're at a $50 Litecoin right now. It almost sounds ridiculous to talk about, but I will say a $4 Litecoin, I mean, what, a year and a half ago? Sounded ridiculous when you're talking about a $300 some Litecoin. Imagine somebody was charting that back in the day when we're trading at $4. Well, same thing. And we haven't even seen what is yet to come. So, yeah. Diver Dan says, all my positivity has worn away. Lucky another Dan is keeping us positive. Diver Dan. I'm here to keep all you positive. Listen, at the end of the day, I will say this: like this is risky stuff, right? Anytime you're investing in anything, I don't care what it is. Like you can go buy Apple right now. Like that's legitimately risky, right? Especially with we don't know what those markets are going to do. We could easily come revisit this trend line down here. 65% losses like that for Apple. Apple trading at $100, Apple coming down from $207. Like that's risky. To buy Apple is risky. To buy Litecoin, to buy Bitcoin is risky. But I think my point is from both a technical analysis standpoint, right? As we're so oversold at this point, and we're in like a 10-month bear market right now. If you're going to invest in anything, I just feel like it's way better to buy the bottom, right, in cryptocurrency right now than to buy the potential top in the traditional stock market. Like look at Dow Jones Industrial Average. What would you rather buy right now? I don't know. If I'm going to take a risk on anything, it would be cryptocurrency, let alone the fun that I'm having right now, let alone the fun that I know a lot of you are having right now, just like chatting with all these people about this new technology that most of the world doesn't even believe in yet, but this new technology that's like making moves and like is doing some legit stuff. People are missing out right now. They're missing the point. And what's cool, what's exciting, besides the monetary, is the fact that we're a part of it. So that's my spiel. I need to go hang out with Sarah now. I appreciate everybody coming by and just spending some live time with me. It's definitely been fun. Yes, and the halvening, Perosi, we need to start covering that a little bit. I did a video on that a few weeks ago. Poseidon Lou says it's going to happen quick, and it very well might happen very quickly. So this isn't financial advice. Just be careful not to miss the boat. Be careful not to miss the boat. As always, this is not financial advice. As always, do not spend more money than you can afford to lose. And be patient out there. Be patient because it will pay off. It really will. So those are my thoughts. Time for me to dip out. Litecoin Summit 2018, representing. Hopefully at next year's Litecoin Summit, I'll see a lot of you that I didn't get to meet. So I hope everybody has an awesome Friday. It is Friday. I hope you relax. I hope you have just a nice, fun weekend, chilling. Don't get too attached to the charts, and just have a great all-around weekend. Appreciate everybody that came by. Super chatters, thank you so much. If you're here still and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. Turn notifications on. We have some fun on the channel, and it's been really cool. And the fun has not even started yet because we're in this 10-month bear market with this channel. When we have this channel in a bull market, it's going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy, believe me. So I'm looking forward to that. And as always, I will see you all in the next video, and God bless.